When is Apple finally going to have their presentation? They keep saying, "Oh, it's going to be the 18th." No, it's not. It's going to be the 23rd. No, it's not. Now, when is it?
The latest rumors I read is it's going to be, or heard, it's going to be either the 23rd or the 30th. One would think that if it was the 23rd, they would have already sent out the invitations today.
Correct.
And since I didn't get one.
Evan, you're muted.
How many people here are using iPods?
iPod.
Not the iPod, what is that? The HomePod. That's what I meant.
HomePod Mini.
Now, are they getting rid of the Mini also, or just the?
No. Just the original large size one.
I wonder what they're going to replace that with.
I don't know.
I have an info in one of my slides about that.
Okay.
Bob, what time roughly will the raffle take place?
According to my precise schedule, we have it at the end of the meeting, which will be like 8:30, 8:35.
Okay.
And that's because you put it at the end of the meeting in your board of directors notes. Oh, I guess that must be the way it's supposed to go. So.
No, it's just Vanna is asking me when she's supposed to be on stage. So.
Well, you should have her get her hair and makeup done by 8:15.
All right.
Tommy, you started to ask a question.
All right.
About your iPad and discharging and downloading something.
I don't know what it's downloading, but right now I have music background activity 38%. It says screen time on. I have 48 minutes and screen time off 1 hour 36 minutes. And the next time is 32 is FaceTime, which I did do, and Skype, which I did do anyway. So it's the top of my usage, which I don't know where it comes from and how to get rid of it.
What it means, I believe, is just that your music app is running in the background.
How do I stop it?
Which iPad do you have?
The original Pro.
The old 9.7 Pro?
Yeah, the small one.
Double click the home button. Then locate the music app and swipe it up to cancel it.
That. Okay. I'll count on you for fixing that. Okay.
Bob says you can do the hair and makeup by 8:15.
See if it stops or what it does later in the meeting. Okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
Any other questions? Well, that was a short meeting.
I got a comment. With Apple being closed for so long due to COVID, I had two situations over the last month that really shocked me. Number one is I had a client that bought an iPad in December to replace her broken 9.7 Pro. She hated it. So we got the old 9.7 repaired. And about a week and a half ago, I went into the Apple store after they opened, and they are accepting repairs back as far as 5 months ago. So our refunds back as 5 months ago. So even though it was purchased in December, they gave her a full refund.
That's awesome.
Well, that's nice.
So, and the other one was last week, I got a new client that had a 2019 MacBook Pro that did not buy Apple Care, and her warranty expired in December. I had called Apple to see if they're doing the same thing with warranty repairs. And they said, sure, no problem. We'll throw an extra 90 days warranty on there, which will cover it. And then when she gets it back, she'll have another 90 days.
Well, that's
So they
great.
did the repair at no charge.
I just wish that that Costco and the Desert Museum would like give us 6 months of membership because we haven't been there through the whole time. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Well,
Especially-
Desert Museum, we're paying for that just because we want to support them, and they still have expenses. Costco, I understand.
Well, you never know until you ask.
Kevin, it looks like your lights are about to burn out. They're getting lighter and darker and lighter and darker.
How's that? Better?
Better.
Yeah, that is better.
Yeah.
And better color balance too. You were looking a little orange.
Yeah, I have a little LED light right here, and it's right in front of the monitor.
Okay.
So this is background lighting. Finally
Anybody
getting our
else?
house fixed up and finished.
And Roger is in the dark.
Yeah, Roger's gonna.
He's
leave.
working hard by candlelight.
I'll be back, and I'll bring some lights with me.
And Gretchen and I are cooking on a hot plate. Our 6 or 7 month old GE range stopped working on January 7th, and it's still not working. And the repair people have been here like 3 times going, yeah, we got to order some parts.
And with COVID, you're talking about what, December timeframe for the parts?
I don't know. We're also dealing with GE's customer relations people, and what we really want is give us our money back. We're going to go buy something else. We don't trust this one because there's this big, heavy wiring in the back of it where the cord comes into the electric range. One of the 3 wires is just melted, and the terminal block it connects to is melted.
Oh, God. No.
Wow.
And if we've been told twice by one repairman that, they don't make those parts as repair parts, that he has been told by GE it is unrepairable. GE customer support seems to have a different opinion. And yet nobody comes with parts in their hand to try to make our range work. And even if they did, what made that wire melt? What draw was happening that caused that failure?
Exactly.
We are not a happy camper. We don't really want that range in our house anymore. And we've used we went out and bought a hot plate, used that so long, and just natural wiping it down. We're wiping all of the silk screened safety instructions off of the top of the hot plate.
Oh, God.
Bob, out of curiosity, did you use it like an American Express to pay for that?
Not an American Express. I don't know what card it was.
You might want to contact a card vendor. A lot of
know-
them have warranties that are better than the manufacturers.
Well, Gretchen has contacted Home Despot where we bought it. And the manager of a Home Despot has gotten back in contact with us and said, yes, we can help you with that, but you didn't buy it from my store. You bought it from that store. So you have to talk to that store, and has forwarded all the email, including photos and email exchanges and all of our notes for the last 60 some days over to the other Home Depot. So we hope we're not just out $1,000. and have to buy another range. But if we buy another range, I don't think it's going to be GE.
Yeah, probably not.
If it is, buy it from Christie's.
Christie's is a good place to buy it from.
Christie's is excellent, and their service is beyond approach as well.
Well,
They're local Tucson folks.
I'll tell you, if Home Depot steps up and helps us out and says, yes, we'll give you your money back, we'll buy another one from them.
Christie's,
That would be only fair. Well, that certainly wasn't Mac related. Are there any other questions?
It's electric.
It's electric and electronic, and it has a LED display and all kinds of happy other stuff.
you have to be careful with Christie's. They, at this time, the last time I called them, the first thing they asked, did you buy it here? And I said, no. And they said, well, we can't. We're only doing service on goods that were purchased from us.
Most vendors are like that.
Hey,
Why
Bob,
call
I
it
just,
Tucson?
okay.
Bob
Hey, Bob.
Gomans?
Yeah, we just bought a new washer dryer from Lowe's, and we got it on sale. And if it's not on sale and you're a military, they'll give you like 10% off whatever the list price is. And also they have a 5-year agreement for, I don't know, about $150 that guarantees you everything, the service, the parts, everything for 5 years, no matter what, at no cost for repairs. So we thought it was a pretty good deal.
Well, thank you, Bob. I'll keep that in mind. But like I say, if Home Depot is going to give us our money back, we'll buy something from Home Depot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I got in a little late on you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't had a range that worked in 69 days, something like that now. It was January 7th.
That's why you barbecue.
Well, we got the barbecue, and it's got a side burner. We have a hot plate. We have a microwave. It's also GE from Home Depot. And we have a toaster oven as well. But we still wish that we had a regular range,
Yes.
which we do, but it's a brick. Are there any Mac questions or iOS questions or something that we should be talking about instead of this? Jerry, what's up?
I have a question. I'm still running Mojave on most of my machines because I can't run some software and so forth. But I'm thinking now about the possibility of upgrading to, say, Big Sur. And I'm wondering, what can I do, or what are people doing about backing up the master drive? And in particular, I've been using Super Duper and making bootable backups. That's one way I kind of prove that they're correct. And I'm wondering, what are the possibilities? What am I going to have to do to be able to back up my?
That is certainly a topic for a lot of discussion on podcasts these days. I think it was on Mac Geek Gab with Dave Hamilton. Super Duper does not work with Big Sur today. Carbon Copy Cloner kind of, sort of, mostly works.
100%. 100% works.
Well, yeah, it backs it up.
And is bootable.
But there's a lot of caveats involved that I've heard. The best bootable backup you can have is another Mac.
Can I say a few things here, Bob?
Go right ahead, Kevin.
Okay, I use Carbon Copy Cloner all the time, and Carbon Copy Cloner will make a bootable backup of a Mac running Big Sur. The only caveat is when you upgrade your operating system, it will not re-back up the encrypted partition unless you tell it to do another full backup. So you have to erase your backup and start a new one fresh. But if you're backing up off of a solid state drive, like I recommend all my clients do, you're talking about an extra 20 minutes to do a secondary backup to have the current operating system.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely correct there. But if you change anything that changes your operating system, then you got to redo that every time.
Right, but if you don't, like, say for example, you back up with or you start your backups with 12.1.0, and now you're at 12.2.3, it'll do a backup of the data partition,
Mhm.
and it'll boot into 12.1 with everything intact.
11.1.
Or 11.1. So everything will be intact, it'll be bootable, but your operating system is just not up to date. And there's no problem with that, because if you were to need to recover, you plug the backup in, you use migration assistance, and it only pulls from the data drive, doesn't pull from the encrypted drive.
Okay.
The volume or
Yeah, there's actually 5 volumes that are formatted that work with Big Sur, and there's only 2 that you really need to worry about.
And I am using Carbon Copy Cloner now for the one clone that I have that I exchange with Kurt on a regular basis. I'm in Catalina. But the problem is the same. I've purchased a license for Carbon Copy Cloner, and the problem I have with Carbon Copy Cloner right now is for another backup. I really want it to run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a different script to run Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Very easy.
But with Carbon Copy Cloner, I can't find a way other than every day or every X number of days. And that doesn't, I can't find where it says, do it on Monday, do it on Wednesday, do it on Friday.
You want to bring up Carbon Copy Cloner real quick? I'll show you how you do it.
There it is. Open Carbon Copy Cloner.
Okay.
And
on your schedule thing, what do you have listed?
well, why don't I
Share the screen.
share my screen?
Okay.
Are you seeing my Carbon Copy
Yes.
Cloner window?
Okay. Click on no schedule specified. To the right.
To the right. No schedule specified. I don't see that.
It's the big gray box on your right.
Gray box to the right.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Okay. Select on the pull down. Select daily.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry. Is it daily or weekly? Hold on. Let me do this.
Every 2
Yeah,
days
you want
should work.
weekly.
Why, shucky darn. There it is.
Not just that, Bob. If you set it up as a group, you could actually see your schedule. So you could have one set up for Monday, Tuesday, Friday, another one set up for Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Group them together, and you could run them, and it'll set the group up.
Why?
Another thing besides this, what I like to do, click on where it says weekly. Select the bottom item. Once source or destination is reconnected,
Mm-hmm.
then, okay, you don't have the daemon running. If you had the daemon running, you'd be able to select boxes in there. So,
Okay. Well, looking under weekly, this is really what I wanted it to do. I just set up ChronoSync to do that for me, and I'm trying that now. Whereas this is, I'm just doing straight clones. Didn't want to do a whole clone. I just wanted to do like home folder. But thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, and you see where it says Bob's partition?
Yeah.
You could drag a folder I'm sorry, where it says Grover, you could drag a folder into that and only do a folder
Okay.
as well. So Carbon Copy Cloner does it all. Most people just don't know what it does because they don't explore it or they haven't read the manual, which it's too complicated.
Well, I used to use Retrospect, which is supposedly the backup software that only a consultant can love.
Yeah,
but I didn't find that. And I thank you, Kevin, for finding it for me.
Yeah, I used to love Retrospect, except for encrypted everything, where with Carbon Copy Cloner, you could actually pull a file from a backup.
So how do you go about starting up from another Mac?
You plug your backup drive in, you hold down the Option key, and then you select your backup.
Is that what you were asking, Tommy? I think you were asking, how do I start up from another Mac?
Oh, yes, you're right. That's
Okay, well, what I have as we went, and Chris will get to you soon. I have all of my documents from my iMac going to a Synology, syncing over to a Synology, and then syncing back to my MacBook Pro. So they have the same stuff all the time. So if this iMac were to go south, I could, in theory, just start up the iMac Pro, the MacBook Pro, and just pick up where I left off.
because you've got to have your arrangement.
Well, it's going to have all the same data, and it's going to have all the same, network settings and all that kind of stuff as well. So
But
other than from 27 inches down to 13, it should be just about the same.
that won't work unless you have the Synology.
Well, that's how I do it. Kevin, is there another way to do that?
You use Apple Documents, iCloud Documents, where you sync your documents in your desktop folder. But unless you have high-speed internet, it becomes very slow.
Yeah. If you had all your documents in iCloud and set up on both machines, then again, you would be in the same position. So that's another way to do it. But I am so happy that now I have 25 down and 10 up on my internet connection instead of 13 and 0.7.
No comment.
Chris, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to just confirm something we chatted about. Gosh, I don't know, it was last month or the month before. I accidentally ended up doing a clean install of Big Sur on my M1 Mini. And what happened was I was on a developer beta, and I thought the next developer beta had come out, and I had misread it in Mac Rumors. So I thought, well, I'll just go to the developer site. Went to the developer site, and I said, let's just go ahead and download that. The developer site sent me over to the App Store under Utilities, and there was Big Sur. And I swear it must have been Kevin or Roger, or maybe it was Tony. Somebody told me this. And so I installed it. And lo and behold, I came back and I thought, well, wait a minute. I'm back on 11.2.3, and I had been on the 11.3 beta 3, I think, or beta 2. So it does work, and you can do a clean install through the App Store. So thank you guys for letting me know about that. That used to be my number one line of defense when we had problems at work when I did IT stuff. We did tons of clean installs. So it's always good to know that that's still there. I had some concerns that Apple kind of took it away with the combo updates and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
No,
that-
they've improved it, if anything. And also, I posted on our forum, the new forum last month, links to all the installers from 10.9 on, I believe it was.
That was great. Thank you.
We have a question from Luis about transferring to an iPhone G5. Luis, can you tell us any more about that? Unmute your mic. Well, maybe he doesn't have a mic. If you look in the chat, it says, I was thinking about transferring to an iPhone G5. Will the transfer from Samsung contacts, data, etc., to an iPhone G5 be smooth, or will it even work? I have no idea. Anybody?
I don't know what's a G5.
I think he means
5G.
5G. I'm guessing he means 5G.
The Apple Store used to, or I think it was Verizon, used to be able to, they used to have an app that could do that with the SIMs. The SIM card in the phone and the Samsung, they'd pull that out of there, and they were somehow able to pull that information off the SIM and then put it back onto the iPhone. There were, of course, privacy concerns about that, but that was one way to do it. And, we're going back 5+ years, so I'm not sure if that's still available, but it might be worth asking.
Yeah, I years ago when I switched to the iPhone, heck was I on? I was on some other early version of what's the other operating system these things use. But anyhow, I had that same question, and I looked it up on the internet at that time. And it said, just save your contacts information in that, the information you want to a file. And then I just emailed the file to myself, and I brought the file into the Apple, and it pretty much brought everything over. But that is probably over a decade ago. So I don't know if it's changed any from those other phones or not, but it was pretty straightforward. I guess my suggestion would be is that if we don't know it here, just look it up on the internet, do a search, and say, how do I transfer all these files to an iPhone?
Okay, Luis said his carrier is AT&T. So Luis, what I would do is I would go to a AT&T company store. I know the one at I don't know what part of town you're in. The one at Broadway and Wilmont on the northeast corner, right on Broadway. It's the first store on Broadway.
I think it's southwest, isn't it?
No, they moved.
Oh,
So there's north. Well, maybe they moved again. It used to be on the northwest corner in the same shopping center where the Burger King is on the corner at Wilmont and Broadway. Anyway, it's around Wilmont and Broadway somewhere. That's a company store, and they may be able to take care of it for you.
And another thing also is, if on your Samsung you have your contacts in iCloud, which is doable, all you have to do is sign into your iCloud account, and everything will be there.
And you should be able to cancel or transfer from Google too. So if you're using an Android and have all your contacts in Google Contacts, you could bring those in to Apple's contacts. So there's a couple ways.
Deafening silence here.
It's one of those weeks.
Aren't they all?
Oh, you know, silence reigned, but nobody got wet because everyone was wrapped in thought.
Jeez.
Oh dear.
And it's only been raining here at night.
Right.
It was raining down by TMC on Saturday, and the mountains were beautiful.
Yeah. Gorgeous. I don't know if anybody's interested, but Apple makes a stretchable watch band with no buckle. I don't know if you can see the focus there. It's kind of like like the waistband on pants, it's stretchy. And their cost for the thing is some crazy item, $90 or something. But they're now showing up on Amazon and so on, all of the knockoffs, and this one was 19 bucks. And I love it. No buckles, nothing to do. I just slide it on in the morning.
Even at that price, it's still kind of rape.
Yeah, well, what Apple charges is just so outrageous.
Well, the nice thing about how much Apple charges for their watch bands is it makes other people who want a nice hefty profit margin, it makes them look real attractive because they, if you bought it for 20 bucks, they probably sold it to Amazon for $5,
right,
and made money on it.
Right.
Yeah, there are some good third-party bands on Amazon. You just have to watch the ratings.
Yeah.
Watch the ratings, because some people complained that the quality was bad, but you figure that their suppliers compete, right, to make the Apple bands.
You bet.
And some of them make perfectly good quality bands, but they don't get chosen. So there are some good ones, and there are some obviously very expensive ones too. So depending upon what you're looking for.
I got to get me a watch, but I've been waiting for the store to reopen.
They're open again. They opened about a week and a half ago.
Well, I've got a question for you guys. In order for my watch to unlock a Mac, even if the Mac's on Ethernet, which my main machine is, wired Ethernet, wireless has to be turned on. So I did turn it on. The watch does unlock nicely. And the question becomes, by having that Wi-Fi on, is it actually creating any extra traffic on the Wi-Fi on my home network?
That depends on your network setting.
Ethernet is number one and Wi-Fi is number two.
Then the only thing it'll do is it'll ping your router every now and then to keep the lease alive. But that's really about it.
Not so.
I was hoping that was the answer. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that you can set the service order in networks.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen people plug in Ethernet and say, "Hey, how come it's not any faster than Wi-Fi?" But once you set the service order, things will speed up drastically.
Same thing with Wi-Fi networks, right? If you got a bunch you never use, put the ones you use at the top.
Well, yeah. Well, that's for you mean like when you're visiting places?
Yeah. If there's a Wi-Fi you haven't used in 2 years, there's no reason, because it'll go through the stack, right? Of the
right,
the
but you have to be careful there also, because when you ever do say you're on your Mac at home and you delete something on your Mac at home, any of your other devices, your iPhones, your iPads, and your laptops, it'll delete it on those if you have the keychain turned on.
Oh, wow. That's a good
Another thing is, if Apple ever tells you on your iPhone to reset network settings and you have your keychain on, you will lose all your network settings. That whole list on your Mac will disappear.
Oh, God.
So turn off the keychain first.
Always turn
Good
off the
idea.
keychain first. Matter of fact, I recommend not using that feature because it causes more problems than it solves.
You mean the
If
reset?
if you need passwords, get one password.
Here, here.
That's a good idea. I'll turn it off right now.
Well, one doesn't eliminate the other.
What do you mean?
Well, you can have your passwords in one password, and for certain websites, also save them in keychain, so you don't have to put them in most of the time.
Well, that's what 1Password does. 1Password works the same exact way as keychain does. It's just a little bit more secure.
Does it? Because you have to input them with 1Password.
You got to input them in Safari and your keychain as well. But once they're in there, they're in there.
So Kevin, the dialogue that comes up says, turn off iCloud keychain ? Turning off iCloud keychain on this device will also turn off iCloud keychain on other devices running iOS 8 and iOS 10 Yosemite or earlier.
Just turn it off.
Yeah, really, that's not even, okay, yeah, that's sort of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah, and on your other devices that are running iOS 12 or 11 and later, just manually go in there and turn them off. Same thing on your Macs. Because there's really no need for that stuff on the cloud if you have a decent password manager.
Is anybody keeping up with the problems that LastPass has been having?
The fact that they're charging now?
No, didn't they have
And
some
they
kind of a
swore they
breach
never
or something?
would?
I have some information on one of my security slides about LastPass.
They had a breach or something, didn't they?
Oh, they've had several breaches.
And now Dropbox is offering a free password manager, but you can only put 50 passwords in it.
Worth everything.
You muted again, Jerry. What was that?
Okay,
other
boys and
questions?
girls, here's a 1Password question. How many things do you have in your 1Password? I'm up to 540. Those are not all passwords. Some are, notes and my driver's license and my passport and stuff like that. So
I've got 800.
Yeah, 840 here.
yeah, I think we have a winner.
Yep, just over 1,000.
Whoa.
Oh, God.
Well, Tony's got passwords in there that he can't tell us about, or he'd have to kill us.
No, I can't store any of those.
Oh, okay. You have to remember those?
Yep.
I've only got 964.
500 here.
300 for me.
Now, what's the oldest?
Oh,
I know there's a way of going by dating here.
Yeah, I think I go back to 2013.
Date created.
I have 2007.
Oh,
I got 2011.
Oh,
oh, maybe mine goes back. How do you find the oldest date?
In the search, right below the search, there's a sort by column. Go by date created.
Oh, sort by date created. Okay,
How about April 2008?
that's pretty good.
yeah.
Well, I guess I only go back to.
I got one password when they were first introduced it, and I got a free copy because I was early on the game.
Wow, and you haven't paid for it since?
I have paid for it since because I
and dearly, I'm sure.
In the early days, it was 20. I don't know. Still wasn't much. 25, 29 bucks. But I didn't pay anything, I think, until what, maybe 4 or 5 years ago when they started.
Yeah.
So how do you
Yeah.
sort it? How do you sort it, Kevin?
Underneath the search in the one password, it says how many items you have sorted by. Click the pull down menu and say date created.
Okay. So I have 1,300 items.
Wow.
Give that man a Kewpie doll.
Yes.
The question is, how many of the old ones are still active?
Right.
Yeah.
All of them, obviously.
I got logins for OWC from 2011. I don't think OWC has logins anymore, do they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yes.
My oldest one is Disc Warrior from 2008.
Disc Warrior.
I've got a Netflix from 2011.
My two oldest ones are Parallels and the VA, and I use both of them a lot still today. But they go back to April 2008.
What about Parallels on Big Sur?
On which chip?
On the old Intel.
I prefer VMware over Parallels, but but it runs fine.
I thought I saw a note on their website saying it didn't, and they're working on it.
Well, one of the things about VMware is that VMware for home use is now free. So you can run old Mac operating systems, Windows operating systems, and you don't have to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
And Parallel still charges you, and they charge you like 80 bucks every time they do an update.
I have a statement, or I put something in the chat, and I wouldn't mind brainstorming about it.
Go ahead, Susan.
It would seem that Susan's been using keychain. She said, I've been using the OS to create passwords and save them to passwords, probably meaning keychain. So far, it's been okay. Yeah. And that is certainly better than writing them down on sticky notes and having them stuck all over your monitor.
Well, I was using the same password to go with the same email address. So I had quite a few copies of the same thing. And when I went into passwords one time in system preferences, I noticed all these declarations of bad passwords. So that's when I decided to try Safari's. I guess it's mostly Safari's effort at offering a unique hard password. So on the whole, it's worked okay, except sometimes in programs when I have to create a password that is not available, or Safari or whatever is creating the password is unavailable.
That's kind of one of the blessings of having a dedicated password manager like 1Password. It can store serial numbers of applications. It can store passwords to get in applications. It can store, I use it to store my, a copy of my driver's license and my passport. And I also have secure notes in there, you know, that are something for me or for my heirs to, that they might need to know. And so that, you know, that's something that is above and beyond what the OS and keychain will give you.
Okay.
The quality of the passwords that Safari and Keychain will generate for you is fine. Sometimes you need to do something else. I wish I could remember the cartoon or joke that I read recently, but it was something like, you have to generate a password. It has to have at least one number. It has to have
One application.
3 small African countries, names of 3 small African countries, and all this other kind of stuff as a requirement. And with 1Password, you can kind of set it up to meet the requirements. Should it be, okay, you have to have at least 1 capital letter, you have to have at least 1 symbol, you have to have X number of, you know, it can't be any shorter than 12, but can't be any longer than 20. You can put all those parameters in and it will generate something for you.
Okay. So
The thing I find wrong with that is, though, that sometimes the symbols that are allowed in a password are not common. Or in other words, when I generate a password from 1Password, I get symbols that are not allowed in the password that I'm trying to create. So I have to go up and I create it with whatever symbols they give me, and then I go back and change the ones that are not allowed and to ones that are. But I wish I had a way to get around that problem.
The worst ones are when it says create a password, and so you create a strong password, and then they tell you need to have capital letters and
yeah.
And then you do that, and then you come back, oh, but you also need a number.
Or a special character.
And so putting it up top and up front, what the requirements are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need special characters, but they can only be from these 6, and they can't be from any of the other special characters.
Yeah.
Luis just asked a question to everyone, and let's see if I can see it again.
About data usage.
Can you handle that, Kevin?
I'm not sure what he means by data usage. Then he says this was a mistake.
Okay, I don't know about everybody else, but I need a little break before we start the main meeting. So I'm going to turn off my camera and my microphone and go refresh my beverage, and we'll be back at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, me too.
How you doing, Kurt?
I'm doing well.
How's Betsy?
She is also well. She will be on screen tonight picking the winning raffle ticket.
Did you bend yours so she'll pick it?
She'll pick it. She's Vanna tonight.
Sending out memberships notices.
Me.
I think I'm due.
Okay. I'll make a note of that and I'll check.
I just want to take a second to say thank you to whoever at the meeting a couple months ago mentioned that they got their vaccine shot at the VA, because I called the VA the next day and they gave me an appointment 8:30 the following morning.
That's great.
Yeah, and they were really organized down there.
I think most of the places that you go after you've got your appointment and you get there, they are very well organized.
Yeah, I did mine and my wife's over at the TCC, and very well organized.
Yeah.
Evening, Melissa.
Hello. Did everybody get their taxes done?
Yep.
I just got mine done like an hour ago, so I'm kind of tired. I'm going to be making it up as I go along, just so you know.
Looking for your rebates?
Yep. We got some. We got money back, so that's good. It's just that-
Speaking of 1Password, Sunday I tried to update it in the Apple App Store, and there was all sorts of errors. And I just noticed that they fixed it, so it's now the update is working for 1Password 7 in the Apple App Store.
That's always a good thing.
But lots of people were complaining on the community forum on 1Password over the weekend.
What kind of problems were you having?
Oh, it was saying to close 1Password when 1Password was already closed. And I don't remember all of the things it was doing. I sent it all to them, so.
Oh, good.
They got it fixed up in 2 days, so not too bad.
Yeah, that's really frustrating.
Oh, here's what it said. The update to 1Password 7 couldn't be completed. Try again later. I take it back what I just said.
Oh no, you jinxed it.
All right. It's 7:01. Time to start the meeting.
Do you know where your children are?
Yes.
Do you know where
Sort
you
of.
are?
I don't know where I am. I know where my son is. Okay, welcome to the Tucson Macintosh User Group meeting for March. This is the special edition, the Ides of St. Patrick's Day edition. And we're happy to welcome everybody to the meeting. And remember, if you are a current TMUG member, you will automatically be entered into two different raffles. One is the special raffle that will be, the prize will be awarded tomorrow. And there's also the super raffle, which we are going to pull the winner toward the end of the evening tonight. If you are the winner, you must be a current member of TMUG, but you do not need to be in attendance. So if you need to dash off to do something and you're picked as a winner, you're still going to win. Later on, Kurt has the big drum of the entrance. Kurt, can you hold that up for us?
Yeah, it doesn't show up very well, but it's like that.
And then his lovely assistant, Vanna Blanchard, is going to come in and pull the name out of that at the end of the evening tonight. So, and then we're going to start another one. And the raffle tickets, instead of being made out by you at the person-to-person meeting, will be made out by Kurt, and he'll dump the old raffle tickets out of the big drum and start putting the new ones in for a $100 Apple gift card. Remember, if we can't identify you by the name that you are showing on the screen, and it looks like we can identify everybody, at least right now, you won't get entered. There's also the special raffle, which I spoke about. Our next meeting is going to be on April 20th, 2021 at this virtual location. We will also have an Ask Me Anything session hosted by Kevin and friends, starting at 6 o'clock. We do have a special guest next month. His name is David Sparks. He is a podcaster,
Cool.
an author, and he's also a lawyer, but I guess I can forgive him for being a lawyer. He's going to be talking about his latest field guide called about paperless. He has been an advocate of running his life in his office as a paperless office for some time, and he has a program that you can buy and go through online on how to become paperless. I have enrolled in the program. I haven't started episode 1 yet, but hope to do so. I am kind of like semi-paperless or less paper instead of paperless. And I hope to get better at that. And so he'll be our special guest next month. Is Bob Doms here?
He is.
He is. Bob, have you put the link in the chat window as yet for the?
Well, it's not there yet, but it will be shortly.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. And we're going to ask everybody to follow that link and take that little survey. It helps us when we plan our future meetings. And I'm sure that Bob will put it into the chat again toward the end of the evening. So you can catch it now or catch it later, but please catch it. Last month's winner of the regular or the special raffle was Diana Mueller. And is Diana here tonight as yet? I
Not
don't
yet.
see her name, but congratulations, Diana. Talked about eligibility for super raffle. We're going to encourage, is there anybody here who is a TMUG member and is not signed up for our TMUG mail lists? Please signify by raising your hand. I don't see any raised hands as yet. So maybe most of us are. If you need any help signing up, please let me know. I can help. Also, on Tuesdays, like today, Roger has a live cast on YouTube called Go for Lunch. And you can get all kinds of good information in a short period of time. It starts at noon. It's usually done before 12:30. And it covers basically one topic. And I would encourage you to join. And even though it doesn't cost anything, Roger still does it. I don't know why. He likes to help. Just a quick update on COVID vaccination. I checked today, and Pima County is doing 55 and older and frontline essential workers at this time. Other than Tony and Melissa, it's a fairly safe bet that most of us are 55 or older. They're just like children.
Just kids.
Compared to the rest of us. And Melissa is demonstrating that absolutely.
I'm acting my age.
TMUG's future.
We talked about it just very briefly in the Ask Me Anything section. There's rumors of an Apple event on either March 23rd or the 30th. We'll try to bring you some facts and not rumors in April. I was hoping to, I did a little digging today, was to try to find out what products are predicted and maybe have artist renditions of them to show you it tonight, but I really couldn't find anything. But they're talking about a new iPad, revised AirPods, and Apple tags. So we'll see what happens when that does happen. And maybe we can give you some real information next month. Are there any other announcements? What did I forget? Okay. Evidently, I've covered most of the bases, at least for the people who are awake. Next, we will feature Ridge for his tech update and security updates. Ridge, are you ready to take it away?
Yep, I sure am. The software updates from last time, Adobe, of course, had several. And the Affinity publications, photo and designer and publisher are up to 1.9.1 now. And they're very good replacements for all of the Adobe Creative Cloud stuff. And Clam XAV is now up to version 3.2, and it's now native on Mac M1 Macs. And Google Chrome had 3 updates, and they all had fixes in them. And Chromium, which is based on Google Chrome, that got updated, and Graphic Converter, our old standby from way back, is now up to 11.4. And if you're using Little Snitch, it's up to 5.1.1, and it's now okay with Big Sur. And the 1Password that we were talking about earlier is now for Mac 7.8, and it's now native with M1 Macs. And if you're using AtruCheck Pro as a utility to see what's going on with your Mac, it's now up to 6.4.3, and it works with Mavericks and higher, and it is also native with M1 Macs. And Mozilla Firefox got 2 updates, 8502 and 7601, and their Thunderbird email program is up to 78.8, and it's okay with Mavericks and higher. And even Microsoft had an update for the Office for Mac 365 or 2019. And Pixelmator Pro is up to 2.0.6, and it's working with Mojave and higher. And of course, to Zoom 5.5.5. That's the latest we're using for Zoom. Apple was busy releasing 2 updates to Big Sur, 0.2 and 0.3. And their big AirPods Max headphones, they got a firmware update. And iOS and iPad OS were both updated to the same version. And Watch OS got an update, and iMovie got an update, which works with Catalina on higher. Safari 1403 is released, and Logic, the professional programs Apple publishes, Logic Pro, Final Cut Pro, Motion, and Compressor all got updated. And coming from Apple, we've got a 0.3 update to Big Sur, and another update to iOS and iPad OS and Watch OS and TV OS and Xcode all get update. They're coming as well. And now we have Apple and Health. There was a New Hampshire man who was skating on thin ice, and he fell through the ice, and he realized he was wearing an Apple Watch, and so he used it to call 911. The fire department that provided his rescue was able to arrive within 5 minutes of the 911 call and credited the watch as the primary factor in saving the man from hypothermia. Now, researchers at Toronto's, I can't read this because the parts of the screen sharing information is now blocking my ability to see things. And so I've got to move everything around.
It's all right, Ridge, we can read it.
I know you can read it, but I can't read it. I gotta change this.
You need a second monitor, Ridge.
Now let's go back to play. And the Toronto Red Rogers Center for Heart Research, they're looking into whether the Apple Watch can be used with early identification of worsening heart failure. And in that study, researchers are going to use the data collected from those who are wearing the watch to see if the onboard blood oxygen detectors and mobility metrics can provide early warning for worsening heart failure. And then there's the University Health Network. They said the suitable patients from the heart function program are going to take part in a 3-month active monitoring study and a 2-year follow-up. They'll use an iPhone and Apple Watch 6 to participate, and they'll also investigate the patient's ability to perform traditionally clinic-based assessments in the comfort of their own homes. And as far as Apple repair news is concerned, Apple is aware of a display glitch where pink squares appear on a display attached to a Mac Mini with Apple Silicon inside. A problem it's working on to fix. The squares appear on displays connected to an M1 Mac Mini via HDMI, not USB-C or Thunderbolt. And Apple is aware and working on a software fix. More Apple repair news, a Mac killing hardware compatibility problem with certain USB-C hubs and docks, including some that are sold by Apple at its retail stores. It's been addressed by Apple with a Mac OS Big Sur 11.2.2 software patch, and they said that Mac OS Big Sur 11.2.2 prevents MacBook Pro 2019 or later and Air 2020 or later models from incurring damage when they're connected to certain third-party non-compliant powered USB-C hubs and docks. And on March 6th, Apple announced that the iMac Pro will only be available while current supplies last. In other words, they've stopped making them. Jason Snell, who's the former lead editor of Macworld, called that particular Mac a pretty terrific computer in spite of its high price. Along with the failure of the 2013 cylindrical Mac Pro, the iMac Pro, you could build it up into something really terrific by putting memory and hard drives in it. And Apple will soon be changing the way the serial numbers of Macs and MacBooks are created. They're going to switch to randomized numbers sometime early this year. Some of the folks online think that Apple is going to be maintaining a massive database that they can refer to when repairs and warranty work is required based on a Mac's serial number. On March 12th, Apple said we are discontinuing the original HomePod. It'll continue to be available while supplies last through the Apple online store, Apple retail stores, and Apple authorized resellers. We are focusing our efforts on HomePod Mini, and Apple will continue providing existing HomePods with software updates and support through AppleCare. Following reportedly unsuccessful talks with existing car manufacturers, Apple may be considering using existing suppliers such as Foxconn for the production of the so-called Apple Car. Reports continue that Apple is still in talks with various car manufacturers, but a new claim suggests that the company may be forced to turn to its existing supply chain. Component suppliers and assembly partners such as Foxconn or Magna may be tapped for the production of the Apple Car. As far as COVID-19 goes, all of Apple's 270 retail stores in the US were open for business on March 1st, Apple confirmed. And that was nearly a year after they first started closing their stores to deal with the spread of COVID-19. You know that mask requirements, temperature checks, and reduced capacity are still in effect, and some stores may be limited to curbside or storefront only. Open Apple stores have plexiglass fixtures and other health precautions in place. And folks have been told that COVID precautions will remain in effect until about mid next year at the earliest and may never be fully pulled back. And here's a scene with the plastic screens. You can see some of them in place and masks being worn. And here's this guru appointment desk. And now turning to notable Big Sur issues. And there was a question about VMware Fusion earlier today, and users of that program report that they experienced failure to restart suspended virtual machines after installing Big Sur or one of its updates. So they advise shutting down all your virtual machines before moving to Big Sur. How about notable Mac issues with the Apple Silicon inside? Users are reporting that M1 Macs are experiencing extremely high drive writes over a short space of time. And in what appeared to be the most severe cases, M1 Macs are said to be consuming as much as 10 to 13% of the maximum warrantable total bytes written value of its internal solid state drive. One user showed that their M1 Mac had already consumed 1% of its solid state drive after just 2 months, while another M1 Mac with a 2 terabyte solid state drive had already consumed 3%. The total data units written for these machines is running into many terabytes when they would normally be expected to be considerably lower. Flash memory on solid state drives, such as those used in Macs, can only be written to a certain number of times before they become unstable. There's drive control software that ensures that the load is spread evenly across the drive's memory cells, but there's a point when the drive has been written to so many times that it can no longer reliably hold data. So while solid state drive wear is normal, expected behavior, drives should not be exhausting their ability to hold data as quickly as some M1 Macs seem to be. Turning now to rumors, how about the high-end MacBook Pros getting an SD card slot and an HDMI port later this year? Are they going to have 14 and 16-inch displays, no touch bar, and MagSafe power cables? Well, how about the next iPhone? Was it going to be released this? No, it hasn't been. And will it come in 4 models? iPhone 13, iPhone 13 mini, a Pro, and a Pro Max, and it's going to have an always-on display. Well, that month has passed already, so we'll have to wait and see on all of these. How about new for this year or next year? A redesigned M1 iMac in many colors. How about new 14 and 16-inch MacBooks or a miniature MacBook, a miniature Mac Pro that's only 6 inches high? Wow, these are some rumors that are floating around now. And there's rumors that Apple's working on a way to remove all ports from the next iPhone, causing it to require wireless charging, wireless updating, or wireless restoration, and wireless earpods or headphones. And the latest rumors say that Apple will not replace iPhone Lightning connectors with USB-C and will not adapt Touch ID on iPhone power buttons. And Apple is rumored to be soon releasing a 3rd generation Apple Pencil with a glossy finish and a larger tip component. How about the Mac Pro? Is it going to be redesigned this year? With the present full-size Intel model updated and a new half-size one with Apple Silicon in it? Who knows? The latest rumor of a folding iPhone release from Apple? Maybe 2023. And now that the iMac Pro is no longer in production, does that suggest an iMac with an Apple Silicon CPU is well on the way? Well, we'll have to wait to see that also. The latest guest on the next Apple event is March 23rd. So we'll have to see what, we were talking about that earlier today, but we don't know so far what's going to be shown. The latest Mac guesses is that an M1 based iMac is due this year and an M1 based Mac Pro is not expected until next year. And will production on 2 new MacBooks with Apple Silicon CPUs, 14 and 16 inch, start later this year and be ready to ship this coming fall. When we'll have to wait on that one too. Microsoft has announced that a new one-time purchase version of Microsoft Office will debut later this year for both Windows and Macintosh operating systems. There will be versions for both consumers and small businesses designed for those who don't want to pay monthly for the cloud-based Microsoft 365 service. And Adobe has announced that they've released a version of Photoshop that runs natively on Macs with M1 CPUs. Otherworld Computing has released a truly universal Thunderbolt 4 USB-C cable. This cable will connect any two USB-C devices without issues, and it's compatible with Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 3, USB 4, and USB 3, and power delivery up to 100 watts. And it comes with a 3-year warranty. Otherworld's Larry O'Connor says that with this Thunderbolt 4 USB-C cable, you never have to worry or wonder if you have the right cable, because it's a perfect cable for all of your C2C connectivity issues. If it fits your ports, it'll be 100% supporting them. No other USB cable other than one that is Thunderbolt 4 certified can make this claim, and the prices start at $27.99 based on the length of the cable. Kensington has a Thunderbolt 4 docking station available for $290. And it's got 4 Thunderbolt USB-C ports, an SD card slot, an audio in and gigabit Ethernet, and 3 USB Type A ports and a USB 2 charging port. And there's pictures of what it looks like. And Sonic Tech has also got a Thunderbolt 4 dock, but they only want $199.99 for it. Has 3 Thunderbolt peripheral ports, a Thunderbolt 4 90-watt charging port, 3 USB Generation 2 Type A ports, and 1 SD card slot and a gigabit Ethernet port. And of course, this is a picture of both sides of it. CalDigit also has what they call an Element Hub for Apple M1 Macs. It's a new Thunderbolt USB 4 expansion device with 8 ports, 4 Thunderbolt 4, 4 USB 3, and it's only $140. The Mac OS 11 Big Sur is required for compatibility because it's going to be running on M1 Macs. The USB-C ports support Thunderbolt 3, 4, and USB 4. The USB 3 Type A ports support additional devices. And its external power supply enables a 60-watt power delivery for USB-C laptop charging. And of course, what it looks like. In Nostalgia Corner, there's an Apple 4-foot by 5-foot retail store sign from 1978 that's set to go up for auction. And the desired starting bid is $12,000. And it's in a frame, as you can see from the picture. And of course, we're still going to be selling cloth logos and pins when we have in-person meetings. And the next in-person meeting we have, everyone who's a member will get a free pin. Thanks for your attention for this part of the presentation. And now we turn to items of security interest. And of course, as far as security patches go, Adobe has patched these 5 applications, and Google had, every one of the Google updates had security fixes. And Mozilla had updates and security updates for Firefox for the Mac, 2 of them, and Thunderbird. Microsoft also had security patches in Office for Mac 365 in 2019. And there were other software with security fixes, Chromium and Climax AV. Apple patched these applications with security patches. That's supposed to be iOS 14.4.1 and iPad OS and Watch OS, Safari and Mac OS Big Sur. They all had security patches. Now, as far as current cybercrime activity goes, Malwarebytes Labs 2021 State of Malware report on the findings for 2020 found that Mac detections had decreased by 38%, although the detections for businesses increased 31%. Mac detections included malware, potentially unwanted programs, and adware. Among the 5 threats for Windows PCs was Microsoft Office software attacks. And then there's Red Canary and Malwarebytes. We're saying that Macs and viruses aren't all that common, but the one that was recently discovered by researchers is even less so. Security researcher Red Canary has published information about a new activity cluster that has infected almost 30,000 Macs across more than 150 countries, but it's missing one key ingredient, a reason to be. In their report, Red Canary and Malwarebytes outline a new strain of macOS malware called Silver Sparrow that affects both Intel and Apple Silicon processors. Those 2 companies have determined that the sheer scale of the malware is enough to pose reasonably serious threat, even though it did not exhibit the behaviors that they've become to expect from the usual adware that so often targets Mac OS systems. In short, it doesn't do anything. Apple has since revoked the developer certificates that allowed the virus to propagate. The Red Canary team is unclear as to how the virus spreads to so many Macs, but the virus exhibited properties that is common with malicious Mac OS adware. While the virus doesn't appear to have any malicious intent, they're warning users that the virus could have potentially been extremely harmful to the system due to its chip compatibility, global reach, relatively high infection rate, and operational maturity. So Silver Sparrow isn't the first malware to infect Apple's new M1 chip. Recently, security specialist Patrick Wardle reported on adware that was compiled specifically to target the new ARM chip in the MacBook Air, Pro, and Mini. The developer certificate associated with that malware has also been revoked by Apple. How about a browser side channel attack? Security researchers have discovered what appears to be the first browser side channel attack that's free of JavaScript, and Apple M1 chips may be more vulnerable to it. The attack is built entirely from HTML and Cascade CSS and is described as architecturally agnostic. Researchers say they found it to work across Intel, Samsung, AMD, and Apple Silicon CPUs. The vulnerability could allow an attacker to eavesdrop on a user's web activity by leveraging features in the target's packet sequence. Not only can it bypass JavaScript being disabled, but it also disregards privacy technologies like VPNs or TOR. This finding is not particularly alarming. It's impressive that it can be done. The key parts are they have to ask about a particular page. They have to have the contents of that page, and all they get back is an estimate of the likelihood that you frequent that page. Again, that's very impressive and creepy, but for most people, this isn't a serious exploit. As far as potential fixes, the researchers say that the attack can be mitigated with either software or hardware updates. Apple has been informed and is presumably working on a fix in either Safari or Mac operating system. Microsoft Exchange email servers, yeah. Microsoft and assorted security researchers and the US federal government are all warning that assailants are actively exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities in Exchange email servers to deliver ransomware. Microsoft recently said it had detected a new family of ransomware dubbed Crypt A or Deercry being delivered via Exchange email server vulnerabilities, and the attacks are using the same 4 vulnerabilities that were previously linked to Chinese-backed hacking group Hafnium. And when chained together, the vulnerabilities allow an attacker to take full control of a compromised system. Ransomware expert Michael Gillespie said vulnerable exchange servers in the US, Canada, and Australia had been hit with dear cry. And Microsoft has since confirmed that the server vulnerabilities were being used in human-operated ransomware attacks, which are much more targeted and directed. The new ransomware comes about a day after a security researcher briefly published proof of concept code exploiting the vulnerabilities to GitHub. The vulnerabilities have since been fixed, but those fixes can't purge an attacker from an already compromised network. Additionally, Palo Alto Networks has said that there are nearly 80,000 older Exchange servers that cannot be manually patched. Federal authorities, including the FBI and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, have said that the vulnerabilities pose a major risk to U.S. businesses. And on March 6th, reports suggested that the attack had affected more than 30,000 organizations. Other than Hafnium itself, reports also indicate that other criminal hacking groups are piling on with their own attacks leveraging the vulnerabilities. And Microsoft has released new updates this month to hopefully help. LastPass. A security researcher has detailed 7 trackers inside the popular password manager LastPass that the company itself or other advertisers can use to create targeted ads for users of the app. German security researcher Mike Kuketz has uncovered 7 trackers within the LastPass Android app, a password manager that has over 10 million installations in the Google Play Store alone. Trackers have come to be expected in certain applications, namely social media and online shopping outlets. The researchers note that something about including trackers in a password vault application seems insidious. And immediately after launching LastPass on Android, 6 of the 7 tracking apps activate before the user even interacts with the app, and at no point is the user asked whether or not they agree to have their data transmitted to the third-party providers. The app tracks what device the user is using and whether the app is being used for free or under a subscription, and if the user prefers to use a biometric lock. LastPass's Android version also continues to track users while they use the app. While the trackers may not receive sensitive content such as the passwords themselves, they track nearly everything else. The data tracked includes when the password was created, what kind of account the user is creating, a user's IP address and current location, and more. There's no way to object to this tracking or opt out of it either. A user would need to uninstall to prevent further tracking. Thankfully, no trackers have been confirmed to exist in iOS or macOS versions of LastPass, although the data that is collected for iOS and macOS could be collated and sold to advertisers in the future who would probably use that information to target users with ads. Here's a cybercrime outfit that is a well-established cyber gang named Scam Club that for the past 3 years has hijacked hundreds of millions of browser sessions with malvertising campaigns that redirect users to adult and gift card scams. This group operates by buying large quantity of ad slots on multiple platforms in the hope that some of its bad ads make it through security checks. Elias Stein, a senior security engineer and researcher at Confiant Security, reported online that until recently, the group is best known for massive 2018 campaign where it directed 300 million users to shady phishing sites, serving up adult content and gift card scams. Confiant Security researcher dubbed the group Scam Club because of the criminals' use of multiple fast-changing redirection chains, eventually spitting up gift card offers and adult content. Scam Club typically uses a bombardment strategy to flood ad delivery systems with tons of horrendous demand rather than trying to obfuscate its nefarious The various activity researchers note. They do this at incredibly high volumes in the hopes that the small percentage that slips through will do significant damage, Confiette explained. The most recent Scam Club campaign redirected users to landing pages that offered prizes such as you've won a Walmart gift card or you've won an iPhone, to rather successful effect. And over a recent 90 days alone, Scam Club delivered over 50 million malicious impressions with as many as 16 million impacted ads being served in a single day. Apple has already patched all the discovered vulnerabilities, thank goodness. And thanks for your attention now, and so stay safe. And here's the end of my presentation, and I'm going to hit your screen sharing and stop screen sharing.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Reg.
bet.
Appreciate all your work on that. Next, we're going to go to our featured presentation of the day, and that's talking about making labels with Melissa. Now, labels, although we're going to be talking about making labels, labels is not the only thing that this pertains to. Could be package and address labels, product labels, return address labels, warning labels such as fragile or liquid. Avery makes many different label sizes for home printers, including business cards, holiday and greeting cards, and invitations, and much more. So Melissa's going to take us through the process of how to start the process of making a design to put it on a label, how to download the label templates from Avery, and show us how it's done. Take it away, Melissa.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
And I haven't gotten the notification that I'm the host yet. Or should I just go ahead and click screen share and you'll accept the notification?
Go ahead and click screen share.
Okay. And tell me if I'm sharing the right screen. So I'm going to share my desktop where I've got everything set up. And then tell me what you can see. Can you see the Avery website here?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I have that kind of queued up and ready to go. And I have a couple other things here too. So I want to start out by saying that labels are not the only thing that you can make with Avery and places like this, but you can also make memories with them. As I discovered, this is why Bob wanted me to give this presentation. He liked the story that I shared on my podcast. So I thought I would just briefly give you a little overview of what that story is, what's behind that story, and what got me into doing this. So this was around the holiday time, and I was chatting back and forth with my mom, and we're all so busy. I don't really have time to like talk on the phone. We've just been kind of texting back and forth. So I'm going to show you a couple of our text message conversations back and forth. And she started out by saying, do you remember a long time ago when you helped me make those labels you helped me out with some kind of label project for wine? I was like, sure. She's like, do you still have the file? I'm like, yeah, somewhere. And she's like, well, we have like a new crest and things like that. And so I was like, okay, well, send me some pictures. So we had this texting conversation back and forth. And this was like kind of over the course of a day where, she was busy doing stuff and I was busy doing stuff. And then later in the evening, she kind of finally got home, gathered some materials and was able to focus on it. And so she said, I want to redo these wine labels. And we got this new family crest. I was like, okay, so tell me what you got. And so she showed me some pictures. Like here was the old, can everybody see what I'm showing here?
Yeah.
So this is our little conversation back and forth. And so my stepdad makes his own wine. And so this is a picture of their old, label. And she wanted to improve upon that and change some things. You can see how at the bottom, he just kind of uses some other kind of label where he writes on it and then just kind of sticks that on there. And so she wanted to make them look a little bit nicer. Like sometimes they might want to give them out as gifts. So if you can kind of picture this kind of need in your own life. And then I said, okay, well, what labels, what model are you using? So she took a picture of the package. And I'm sure a lot of you who've worked with labels have seen something that looks like this. So I said, I just really need, the code. So she took a picture of that. And so I had the code. So I'm just kind of gathering information. And then I said, okay, what is it that you want on the label? So she showed me this picture of this folder and it was a little dark, but long story short, I took it in, I I scanned it. I tried to clean it up a little bit. You know, it was a plastic binder of some sort. And so she got a picture of it. I took that in and scanned it, cleaned it up. So that was my image that I was going to be using. And then over the course of the night, we were texting back and forth, and this is what I ended up putting together. And I used Pages for all of this, and the Avery template, as I'm going to demonstrate for you after this. And so I put all this stuff together, and this was just, you know, messages back and forth, and I would take a screenshot of what I was working on, what was on my screen. And she'd say, you know, can you move it to the left? Can you move it to the right? You know, put this there, put that there. And just kept tweaking it. And I tried a couple of different fonts and things. And so this was the one that they settled on. She just absolutely loved it. You know, this was going back and forth, and, you know, her and my stepdad are like, he's given her like, you know, stuff in Italian and like saying, you know, do this, do that. And so we're going back and forth, and we finally agree on this design. Okay, now we're ready to, you know, actually make the labels. And I was like, you know, you can actually print these out. You know, I was going to email them to her. I was like, you have an iPhone now, so you can print these out. And so this is the cute little moment. So I take the file. Now I just put it together as a PDF. I export it as a PDF so that she wouldn't have to worry about opening actual Pages app on her phone, because that's like the next lesson. And so she opens it up, and I said, you know, you can print this out. I said, why don't you put a piece of paper in the printer and see if you can print it? She didn't know that she could print from her iPhone. So the cute thing is down here at the bottom where it says OMG. So she puts the paper in her printer and she prints it out. She follows my instructions. I set up here, I said, tap the file to open it, then tap the share icon, look for print, and then look for your printer. She didn't know that this was possible. So she prints it out, takes a picture, and she says, OMG, like she could not believe that this worked. And I said, okay, now we know that it works now. Put the label paper in your printer. You know, I said, you're going to have to figure out, you know, face up, face down, that sort of thing. And so she does. And then I get a yay emoji with clapping hands. So you have to know my mom to know how she gets really excited about things. So even though I couldn't hear her voice, I could hear her voice in my mind's eye. Like I could hear that she was so excited that she was able to just stick this label paper. You know, we're 3,000 miles away, by the way. And the fact that she could do all of this stuff over texting, over the phone, and then be able to get these labels printed out and then put onto her wine bottle. So she was very, very happy with that. That was her Christmas present. She told me she was so excited about that. So that's basically the gist of it. That's the story that I told, that, you know, I was able to, from 3,000 miles away, help my mom with this label project, and that she, you know, teach her a new skill with her phone. She didn't know that she could print from it, and then to be able to do it herself. And now whenever she needs labels, she can just open up that file on her phone and print it out. Now, my next lesson later is going to be teaching her on her iPhone, and that'll be another presentation for later after I use her as a guinea pig to teach her actually how to open up an editable Pages file and then make the labels from there, like where she wants to add the name of the wine and things like that. So this is the file that I used to make it. So let me show you a little bit about kind of the history of how we went about this. So when she gave me the picture, I had the image and I was able to just place it on here. And then I was able to, now again, this is using, see how it says 15262. So that was the code that she gave me from the package. And let me switch back to the Avery site. So it is really easy to go to the Avery site and just do a search for the code. And that's all I really did, was I typed the code into the search. And then as you can see, you'll get these shipping labels here, and it says download template. It used to be in times past that it was grueling. They only ever had a Word doc example. But as you can see here, if you can see these icons here, they now have all of these different templates. And so right there, there's an Apple Pages. So you can now go to the Avery website and type in the code that you need and find the template. And then all you have to do is click download template. Now, of course, they're going to ask you if you want to create an account and that sort of thing. And if you don't want to, you can click download as guest. They're still going to, make you type in your email address. And so you can. And then you just click download, and it will download, after they try to sell you more things, it'll download the Pages template. And then you can just double click on that and open it right up into Pages, just like I did here. So this is what I started out with, was this Pages template. And you can see how there's boxes in here. And you can see they already have the guides for you. They already have the grids set out. You can zoom in and zoom out. And what I did, so this is the one that I already have set up for you. So I arranged within these blue boxes, I arranged my elements, which consists of a text box here, the image file here, and then another text file here. Now this is going to be for later. This is the version that I'm going to send her so that she can edit it on the iPhone. It has a different font on it because the font that I used originally isn't available on the iPhone yet. That'll be another lesson for another time, is how to get fonts installed on your device. That's something that I'm researching for another presentation. But as you can see here, I have these 3 elements, and then all I did was group these. And then actually I have 4 elements here. Then she wanted a little grape leaf here. So I just grouped these all. Like I made that into one image, and click group. You right click on the items, then you choose group. And now you have one item that you can move around. And then I'll show you on a different one here, so I don't mess that one up. So here's an example where I just have some simple things, like I have a little image here and I have some text. And let me ungroup these to show you. So let's say this was the stuff that was here already. So I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to press the delete key to just clear all of that out. And if we just pretend that, you know, I have my address or image or whatever it is that you want on your labels. For this example, I downloaded the template called Avery 5162 Easy Peel Address Labels. So this would be more of an address label. What I was showing you before was more of like a package label because it was bigger and it fit better on a wine bottle. So this would be a little bit more closer to an address label. And then once you have your items placed the way that you want, you typeset it, change the font, the style and everything. Then you group your images. And then what you want to do is select that grouping there, and you're going to press Option and Shift. And what that will do is called step and repeat. That's why I have step and repeat as the example. And you just keep doing that. Option, Shift, and then click, and then drag down. And you can see I'm making a duplicate. Now, if I wanted to do more at a time, I can select these 2 and then Shift, click, Shift, Option, click, and then drag them down. Now I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to select these items here. And I'm doing that by holding in the Shift key and clicking on each of those items. Remember, they're grouped now. And now I can just Option, Shift, click, and drag. And now I have my whole setup. I move that over. You can see how you can work within the guides, and you can nudge them with the arrow keys to center it just where you want it. And that's how you can do a step and repeat to set up your labels, and then you feed it in through your printer and you print it out. So that's kind of a brief overview. I can take some questions if you want to know a little bit more details, but that's how we got from having a picture and a text and like, hey, can you help me out with this project, to having it all set up. And then what I did was I took this file then and I exported it. Go to File, Export, and then choose PDF. And I just so that she wouldn't have to worry about fonts and things like that. And then I saved it as a file. And I took that file and then seeing how it names it there, and you can name it the date and things like that. So I'll go over here to my folder so that I know where to find it. And then you go retrieve it. And then you can just simply take that PDF file and just put it right into a text message by dragging it in and then sending it. So for example, if I texted Bob right now, I could send him that file and he would get it and he could tap on it, open it, and print it out, just like my mom did.
How big is the PDF, Melissa?
Well, let's take a look. So that one's rather simple, and that's got just some text on it. So if we go back to here, so it's 28 kilobytes. So it's relatively small. And even the one that I sent my mom, you can see like the one that I sent my mom has more stuff in it. And that was the pages file itself was 4.5 megabytes. The PDF ended up being 1.3. So not terribly large. You know, it takes a couple seconds for it to come over on text. And of course you can email this too. I just thought it was fun because we were texting it, but you could email these files just the same. but it's just an example of how you get something from one end of the country to the other within a matter of minutes through the wonders of technology.
Thank
So-
you. That's interesting.
It's very fun. So does anybody have any questions?
I think we got it.
Okay, that was painless.
Oh,
right.
great.
I'm going to click stop
Was it
share.
white wine or red wine?
That was a red wine. Now everybody wants wine, right? I should have told you, you should have bought your wine and cheese to the presentation. I'm sorry, I forgot that.
Isn't that part of the meeting? Wine and cheese?
Right?
Quit whining.
Have you done other Avery projects, Melissa? Business cards or labels or?
A long time ago, I used to do mail merges and all that kind of stuff. You can use your contacts, your address book app, contacts app. You can use that to print. You just have to choose the Avery model number. So it's all about finding out what the Avery model number is. So if you're beginning a project, my advice would be to take your measurements and pick out what size it is that you're going to be using, and then look for that code and just go to the avery.com website and punch in that number in the search. And I mean, I poked around, I tried all different kinds of codes to see if I could trip it up. And I was able to find a Pages template for just about everything. They have all kinds of sizes and stuff. So figure out what you're going to be using first, get that code, and then download that template, open it in Pages, and set yourself up. Do a test print first with just a plain sheet of paper and see if it's going to work, and then go ahead and feed your labels in.
I've always found it necessary to do a test print first on plain paper.
Yeah.
Then you take a
For
page of the
everything.
labels and you put them back to back up on a window.
Yep.
So you can see through it enough to go, oh, well, they all need to move down just a little bit or over
Exactly.
to the left a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, those
And then-
guides are pretty accurate. They give you a lot, just, have a lot of white space around what it is that you're going to be doing so that you don't have to muck around with too many tolerances. But yeah, in general, sometimes things shift depending on your printer and how the rollers feed the paper through. Yeah, it can shift it by, a couple of millimeters and throw you off. So yeah, it's definitely a good idea to do a test print first, line it up, make sure it's going to work. I was just, not that I was super shocked, but I just hadn't done it in so long. And it just seemed like it was a lot harder years ago. And to watch my mom be able to just put do it the test print, just like I told her to. And she was just shocked that even happened. And then when she stuck the labels in, she was like, I can't believe I just printed my own labels right from my phone. It was just fun. It's just fun to watch somebody else experience that from a distance and just be able to be, here, you can do this with your phone. It's just a lot of fun.
I've had some problems with printing PDFs onto label stock or card stock or something, in as much as oftentimes the PDF program, be it Preview or something else, adds the margin around the PDF, and it's already put in there. And what you need to do is in the print dialog box, have it set to 100%.
Right.
So it
sometimes
prints
by
the full
default, it will
image.
shrink it. Yeah. Yeah, that printer dialog box, a lot of people don't realize that you can expand it. They just kind of accept that, okay, this is what it must be, but you can actually say show details. There's a button there and look at the details. And sometimes those details are actually really important.
Okay.
Do you find that it's easier to get the templates versus the using like Word's built-in label editor?
That's why I wanted to show it to you in Pages, because so many people just kind of assume that you have to do everything in Word because that's the way it was built for. So I just don't use Word. I just have the free version. So I use Pages for everything. It's just easier.
So do I.
Yeah. It just works. And it's fun.
Okay.
So go out
Thank
and
you,
make some
Melissa.
labels.
Yes, thanks, Melissa.
You're welcome.
It's been, it was a terrific story, and I hope it made everybody smile. We're going to move into a general question and answer session that is going to be hosted or wrangled by Roger. So are there any general questions from the floor for anybody?
But first, if you look in the chat, you will find a link to the TMUG YouTube channel where you can watch this and some other of our meetings that have been conducted on Zoom.
So those of us who didn't take copious notes while Melissa was doing her demo can go back and revisit everything and watch it over again. Also, just above that entry into the chat is Bob Dom's entry for the feedback. And again, we would hope that everybody would go take that survey and help us out in our meeting planning in the future. Any questions for Roger?
Actually, I've got a quick question. Does anybody know if somebody has a 3D printer and knows how to take two items? I need an adapter built between a pair of headphones and a pair of air cushions.
Boy.
Are you familiar with ZeroCraft?
No, I'm not familiar with, no. What is it?
So ZeroCraft is a makerspace downtown, and they have all sorts of things like 3D printers and laser cutters, and so let me find their website here. So that would be a good place to start. They could recommend somebody.
I can ask around. My son has a friend who does some 3D printing, so I can ask around for you.
Okay, yeah, what it is I have a pair of headphones and they're on the ear. They make cushions that go over the ear, but they don't fit on that headphone. So I need some sort of an adapter. And I have the pieces, but don't have the first clue on how to do it.
Well, I mean,
Well, Kevin,
it involves a
if you
3D
were to-
modeling.
Kevin, if you bought me a 3D printer, I'd be happy to give it a try for you.
Oh, I've seen 3D printers as cheap as $100.
Right.
So the material that got expensive.
3D printers are becoming like this new generation's easy bake oven. Does anybody remember easy bake ovens? Like that's what I had as a kid to play with.
Yeah, that little light bulb got hot.
Yeah, but those cakes are good.
So the link for ZeroCraft is in the chat, and they're located down in the old Steinfeld's warehouse, which is on the north edge of downtown.
Okay.
So I think it would be worth stopping in because you could use that resource for other things.
Not only that,
Well, I
but
don't
it
want to
helps
learn how to
support
do it
local business.
myself. I'd rather have somebody just knock it out for me real quick. So,
Have you tried Sugru?
who?
Sugru, SUGRU.
Oh yeah, no, I have some Sugru here,
Okay,
and that's
usually my go-to when I'm
this
trying
stuff.
to. Yeah, that's good stuff.
This stuff is great,
I love
but
that stuff.
I don't want it to be permanent.
Okay.
And in case anybody wants to know what Sugru is, it's moldable rubber.
Multiple
It
glue.
works really good for things when you need to build a little hooks or something.
And it lasts longer if you keep it in the refrigerator.
It does. Good point. Yep. I have Sugru in my fridge right now because I'm a nerd.
So do I.
Don't eat it. It's not fondant.
Ridge, you were doing a little show and tell there. You want to do that again?
What show and tell? Oh, that show and tell was just a Dymo label writer, the 450 Turbo.
Oh, I remember those.
Mm.
Those are spiffy little things.
I've got the earlier model of that sitting right here.
So those are heat sensitive labels.
Mm-hmm.
Very handy.
And I've got one of the ones that uses the plastic tape that peels off and
Right.
sometimes sticks to something and sometimes not.
Right.
Those would probably be handy for labeling your hard drives, like we had our discussion last time about hard drives and
Right.
all that stuff. So get it all labeled before you forget what it is and how old it is.
And flash drives too.
Mhm.
You bet.
Since we're showing labels. I have mine.
That's how I ship. I print all of my shipping labels on one of those.
That's my baby.
Guys,
And
I
then
also
have
put
one
in
of
the
those.
chat. Am I coming through?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I also put in the chat another possible place to get the 3D printing done. SACA, which is Southern Arizona Arts Council, has a large maker space at Tucson Mall where they do the same type of work you were describing. And they may have people that can work with you and design what you need. And I put a link to their website and you can read through and see if you think it might help.
Yeah,
Cool.
great idea.
Thanks.
Yeah, and a lot of those places are probably struggling over COVID because a lot of them either are nonprofit or they're bootstrapped. So that would probably help them.
Yeah,
stay
both of
afloat if
those
they
are
haven't gone
definitely
under.
nonprofit.
Mhm.
Yeah, for what I need, I don't mind spending a little bit of money to help them out for that.
Yeah, what you want to do is to hook up with a kid and give them a chance to get some experience.
Right.
Yeah, they love doing that stuff.
Are there any other questions? Well, I suppose everybody's waiting for the big event of the evening. Kurt, can you see if Vanna is available?
Sure.
Hey, Kurt, and whisper in her ears, I have not won yet.
Okay.
I also found something the other day. I wish I could remember where it was. It was a series of Zoom backgrounds.
Wasn't Roger showing us that before? Roger, didn't you have like a subscription to a service that does Zoom backgrounds?
Roger, you're muted.
Yeah, I saw something the last couple of days that are different sounds, like a baby crying and somebody knocking on the door to get you out of a Zoom meeting.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I have the real thing. Does anybody want to borrow it?
No.
Better at your house.
I got grandbabies coming.
Here we go. My lovely assistant here.
Hello, lovely assistant.
They can't see you.
I know. That was the idea.
Hi, Bets.
How you doing?
That was Sherman.
Where are you?
There he is.
you are.
Hi, Betsy.
Hello. Where are you?
She's behind the
Oh.
thingy. Pick one, only one.
Well, I'm trying to get a one.
Okay.
This is fun.
Is that one or two?
It's one.
Okay.
Wolfgang Muller. His wife won the little one last month.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
And
Thank you, Vanna.
Thank you, Vanna.
Thank you, Vanna.
Hi, guys. Have fun.
Hi, Bets.
This is Wolfgang's second winner of the super raffle.
Yes.
Okay. If there
And that
are,
was, let's see, that was from the July meeting.
That was many, many years ago.
No kidding. So I gotta write that down.
Rich, was that your cat I heard earlier? Was he wanting to get in on it?
That's
Well, I had this the soft black furry one
Uh-huh.
earlier for the earlier session.
Oh.
Right up here.
Oh, I missed it. Darn it.
I'm gonna stay. How's the table?
Great. Thank you so much. Really going to come in handy. Tables are wonderful to have. Horizontal space is wonderful to have.
Yes.
Just a reminder to everybody, if you haven't downloaded or obtained the link to the March feedback, it's still in the chat room. And if you ever misplace it or forget to get it before you sign off, you can always email me as your newsletter editor and I'll send you the link.
Good.
There's actually a couple of helpful links in that chat. So if you have the chat open and you happen to see the 3 little dots in the lower right corner, it's always a good idea to click that and then click save the chat. It'll put it in the Zoom folder on your hard drive. And then you'll be able to get back to those messages in case there was a link that you wanted to go revisit.
That's good.
Okay.
Melissa, is there a way to save the chat window on an iPad other than screenshots, which is what I've been doing?
Yeah, screenshot is probably the easiest thing, but it's been a while since I've looked at Zoom on the iPad, but I thought that there was a way to save it. I don't
There's
have
no
one in front
dot.
of me. There's no dots. Yeah.
Mm.
I have done it in the past, but for the time that it's going to take you to find it, it's probably easier to save it as a screenshot. The only problem then is the links aren't.
If Mark, if you want, I'll send you the file.
Okay, thank you.
I should get on an iPad more often and see what the experience is like. I always just go to my computer because that's what I have.
Well, especially for Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Please drive safely on the way home. After drinking the green beer from the Ides of March.
From drinking the wine from the label
yeah,
presentation.
That's right.
Go ahead
and
pull
how
on
does
your way out.
And how does your father-in-law pronounce his name?
That's my stepdad. It's D'Onofrio, like the actor Vincent D'Onofrio. I don't think they're related. They might be. I don't know. Everybody's related when they're Italian. Who knows?
Has anybody given thought to in-person meetings yet?
We've talked about it at the board meeting. We have to wait until everybody feels comfortable, and then we have to start exploring to see if we can get a venue, and then we have to explore if we can get the dates we want. So we're kind of working toward it, but don't have any news as yet. Have a good evening. Thanks for attending. See us next month for our special guest, David Sparks.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Should be interesting.
Tell your friends.
I wanted to say thanks, Bob, for sharing your printing experience. That didn't get a chance to respond, but I thought that was very interesting reading about all the different things that you print. That just fascinates me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just enjoy that so much. That's like, wow, that's a lot of printing going on.
And a lot of printing, my God.
Yeah. So I think it'll be interesting to see your thoughts then after you think about wrapping your head around going paperless with some of those things. It'd be interesting to see on that list what you end up deciding to go paperless on.
Well, most of the stuff that's on that list is paper. I'm on one hand, I'm glad I don't have to. One of the things I did for people who weren't in on that email conversation is that Melissa asked, well, what are people printing? And so I put out this big long list. One of the things is my wife is an artist, and when she would do art fairs, she would send out cards, and the cards were 8.5 by 5.5, so big postcards, and we would have those printed. And then it became my job to print the addresses and the schedule on the back of the cards.
Oh, there
and she's been compiling that mailing list for well over 20 years.
Wow.
And her mailing list comprises of between 800 and 900 addresses. And then I would have to print them through my monochrome Brother laser printer. And they were a little particular because they're pretty stiff. And they didn't really want to do this the way the printer wanted them to do it. And so I had to stand there and be ready to have one of the little rubber fingertip things on, be ready to urge it just a little bit. Okay, you can take it. It's all right. It's okay. And
baby your printer.
Yeah, so that doing that 2 or 3 times a year, that was a lot of printing that now that she has officially retired from art fairs, we won't be doing again. And I liked creating the cards,
But the
and having
fulfillment
them
part, not so
printed.
much.
but doing the printing on them, yeah, like you say, not so much.
That was the first test that I put my in-laws through when my husband and I were getting married. I mean, we cheated and eloped, but then we had a real wedding, and I made my own wedding invitations and everything, like all the pieces.
Great.
And yeah, so we sat there at the dining room table, and my father-in-law was sitting there putting the stamps and the sprinkles, and yeah, I was like, okay, I think I'll keep this one. They can survive that.
Gretchen is very good at taking the self-adhesive stamps off of the roll and putting them onto the cards. She could do them several a minute while she was watching TV at the same time.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. That's why it was interesting what the answers were going to be when I asked, what's everybody printing? Because I used to work and live and smell and dream and breathe in that whole space. And I used to be a paper snob, and I used to go to parties with wine and cheese, and they would trot out the new paper like it was a fashion show. And, oh, look at the tooth and this. Oh, look at the brightness, It was very nerdy.
Very nerdy.
You probably remember those days, Kurt. Did you deal with paper a lot?
Sure do.
Uh-huh.
Sure do.
I thought so. I still have like paper booklets and samples, and
I do too. Some of them are so nice you can't throw them away. That's
exactly.
It's nostalgia.
Yes.
You got it.
So as much as I do love to be digital, and I try to be as paperless as possible, it's kind of like, people who live in the city, you can take the person out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the person. It's kind of how I am with printing and paper. Can't take the ink out of me.
Sometime when we have meetings in person, we'll twist Kurt's arm to have him bring the posters he's made in college for all of the productions, the stage productions. He did a really terrific job in designing and creating these posters, and I was lucky enough to help him by taking photographs of them and digitizing them.
Yeah, those are on your website, aren't they?
They are on the website, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all silk screen, so you have to go and design it and make the screens and screen it.
Yeah. Wow.
That's great.
Wow, that's kind of a lost art nowadays.
Oh man, nothing looks like that.
Right.
It's just great.
Nothing like waking up to the smell of blanket wash in the morning. If you laugh at that, then you know what that means.
You know what that means.
As a photographer, I could say, I love the smell of Dettol in the morning.
Oh, all the chemicals, and yet you're all still alive. You give me so much hope.
I know.
Sort of. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good evening. See you next month.
Good night.
Good night.
Adios.
Adios.